Hi, it's Eldon from the Mind Body Project. Welcome back. Thanks for following, thanks for liking, thanks for subscribing, because it is hard to do that. It's hard to get people to follow you and that. So I'm glad that you're back here, and I hope to serve you well. Today's question is a big one. Okay, it's a big one. And the question is, how do I deal with the trauma that is causing my anxiety and depression? So this is the thing that the psychologists deal with. This is the thing that the psychotherapists, the psychiatrists, it's all about the trauma in the past that causes a person to be a certain way. Now, the research. So I was quite fascinated to learn that there are tribes that have more traumas than what we do in the Western world, but they don't get depression, for example. I was like, what? So they have more traumas, but they don't get depression. That's interesting. They do get a little bit of the fears, the anxieties, but they don't get the depressive part. Okay. Because here's what happens, and here's the mindset thing. And this is what goes on my Turn Depression into Happiness course, part 2, that I go into, is that traumas themselves don't cause the problem. It's your reaction to the traumas that caused the problem. So some of you might go, well, that means the trauma caused it then. No, because there are certain people who have traumas, but they're fine because they heal. Right? So what tends to happen is this. When something bad happens, your brain wants to protect you. Okay, it wants to protect you. Now, depending on what you do at that point, or depending on what your baseline stress response is depending on the outcome that you're going to have after. Okay, so it's dependent on what you do. Usually what happens is that you go into a defensive state when you've had something happen. And then you're going to go down one of two paths. Yeah. So you're going to go through a disempowering stress response. And this is all programmed in, by the way. So, for example, if something bad happens, you may go to let's look at the two sides, one disempowering and then one more an empowering stress response. And it depends on what's built into you. Okay. It depends what you normally do when bad things happen. Okay. So what are you going to do? Because life happens. Things happen bad in life. They're always going to. But what do you do? What do you normally do? So here's two paths. One path is disempowering stress response. You start drinking alcohol, yeah, smoking. You have to take drugs. Don't eat. Poor nutritional choices. So in other words, lots and lots of sugar. I'm going to go and just eat because I can control that. Because essentially your brain wants to change state. Yeah, it's like I want to get away from the pain. So what can I do to get away from the pain and change my state? So these things all make you forget about the problem. They all make you change state. You feel better. You're designed naturally to do this. But what vehicles you use is going to cause a problem or it's going to help you. So lack of fluids, so lack of alkaline fluids because you're having too much alcohol, sugary drinks. Yeah, sedentary lifestyle, you just close yourself off and don't talk to people. So that's in our culture, that could be a disempowering stress response. Okay, so these are now automated. So as soon as something bad happens, you go to and do those things, those behaviors, which then cause problems. Yeah, because what that leads to, all of that, what I just said, according to Dr. Christopher Palmer, is what we call mitochondria dysfunction. It will cause inflammation and mitochondria dysfunction. So it exacerbates the problem. Okay, then what we're doing is we chunk everything together and say the trauma, this bad event caused them to be like this. If you break it down, That's not what happens. Because if the same incident may happen and another person may respond differently with a more empowering stress response. So they may go, right, I'm going to go and train more. I need to go and exercise, because what they've learned is how to feel good, because they're still going to want to change the state, but they've learned how to feel good in a more empowering way. So what they may do is then go, I'm going to go and train more. So for example, if something bad happens, when my mum passed away, I just went and trained more. I went and done more anti-inflammatory smoothies, more personal development. So I started learning more, like how to overcome this, like how to feel about this, how to look at it. But like I did more anti-ruminative activities, so anti-stress activities, so meditation, yoga, huna, which is lots of breathing techniques, praying. Some people do that. Increasing alkaline fluids, making sure that you're hydrated. Okay, so these are all things that make you feel good. They change the state, because the trauma is going to make you want to change state, because your brain wants to get away from the pain. Okay, but not a lot of people have these behaviors behind them to actually go to. So they're going to go to the disempowering ones. Massages are really, really good and put you into a really, really good relaxed state. Talking to people and reflecting. Nutritional excellence. So now I'm also going to nutritional excellence, salads and everything else, because I need to keep energy up. And then relaxing, or saying, I'm taking time out, I'm going to go on a holiday, because again, I want to get away from the pain. Okay, so that is what you're going to do. You're going to do one of those two things. All right, so depending on, and what the research showed was, the more hunter-gatherer behaviors you did, the less chance you're going to have, for example, depression or any issues such as that. The anxiety, you will have some fears still, but they can be overcome with techniques. What you don't want to do when a trauma happens is start doing the disempowering stress response behaviors, because then that causes more problems and screws up your body so it doesn't even function properly. Okay, so that's what we want to avoid. We want to go to the empowering behaviors, but you must learn these at a young age. You must learn, how do I feel good? Give me 5 ways to feel good that are empowering, that don't involve drugs or alcohol. So learn that immediate ways, 5 immediate ways. So that's your task from this video, is get 5 empowering ways to feel good, that you know that you can rely on to feel good within 5 minutes, because that's what you're going to need to feel good. You need those options, because if you have those, you'll go to those. If you don't have them, you're going to go to things that make you feel even worse. Okay? So that's your task for the day.